Now, I'll stay away from terms like saved or not saved or, all that stuff these days, right? I'll use neutral language. Like if you read in my book, it's all neutral language. You don't hear me talking about righteousness or all that stuff, So when you think about, does God accept everybody unconditionally? That's something a non-Christian and atheist can ask, right? Here's my answer. I believe so. But Josh, where's the choice? Of course there's still a choice. For example, I unconditionally love and accept my wife. Now, we were even talking about this the other day because we were sharing our love story to some relatives in San Francisco last week, My wife was a tough cookie, because when she was young, she kissed dating goodbye. So she's very tough with guys, And so in my mind, it's really interesting. The day we got together, I told her from this day, because she's like, what do we do now? Because I asked her to be with me. I said, I don't know, I'm just committed to you now. From this day forward, that's it. In my mind, I already settled it. I unconditionally loved and accepted my wife. If she chose not to accept that, she has a choice. That's not going to affect my love for her. Will it affect our relationship? Absolutely. In the sense that she's not going to be understanding and receiving this love. So every time I would do some things for her, buy her food, open up doors, in the beginning she had a hard time with that. Because she's not used to that. With guys in Kuwait. She grew up in Kuwait, right? But once she starts to receive that love and that acceptance, it changed everything with our relationship. Because now it's good for the both of us. But like I said, her unbelief does not negate my love and unconditional acceptance of her. So when it comes to God, in my opinion, same thing. God, no matter who you are safe with God and you are safe in God. If you don't believe the truth, and if you believe a bunch of lies, that you're separated from God, that someone who's a different religion is not, we would call the other, that they're not your brother, that we're all separate. I'm telling you, that will not create a good life for you. If you do not understand love, and God is love, and we reject that love, of course your life's not going to be a good thing, right? But what people have done, some non-Christians, is that they haven't rejected love. That's why, but they're angry with the angry God that they've been taught. So there are people who are atheists who live moral lives, which is odd for some Christians to even imagine. Of course they can live moral lives. Sometimes they're even more moral than Christians and sometimes, right? They reject the angry version of Christianity, the judgmental type, but they still understand love. Now it's just a matter of semantics. Is that love that you know as an atheist, is that God? And as a Christian, as someone who's a Christian, you can say, I believe that's God that's in your heart. Or you want to debate about, is that Jesus or whatever. But it's still love. Like I mentioned it in my book, it's just a name, right? But still, that's how does that make sense? So it doesn't change anything. You want to use the term saved or accepted or whatever. To me, it's a done deal. Because isn't that what love does? Love initiates first. God doesn't wait for you. Then how is that Him pursuing you? You wouldn't go to God unless He was the one that pursued you first. In that sense, right? So that's why it's not like God is up there. But if God's already here, what's His whole understanding of salvation? To me, it's a waking up. God was there the entire time, folks, even when you were a child. It's not like your whole life, you go to church, but you weren't serious about God. Then you're 30 years old, and then finally it just hits you. Finally you're like, oh, I'll accept Jesus now in my heart. So you're telling me prior to that time, God was never there? But Christians like creating these weird distinctions. Well, He's there, but they're not saved. He doesn't really dwell. Folks, let's just get rid of all these technical things. God is there. That's the simplest way this world will understand. That if you could wake up to this reality, that you weren't in the kingdom of darkness and the kingdom of the devil, all the darkness was in your mind. When you believed all these lies about you're ugly, you're stupid, blah, 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 nobody loves you. But imagine if you believe those things about yourself because your family rejects you, and then you think that God rejects you too just because you don't accept them into your heart first. But what if I were to tell you that you've been in God's heart this entire time, but you didn't know it yet? Up here. But deep down, in the quietness in your heart, in your room, when everybody accepted you, I could probably bet you had moments in your heart when you knew somebody loved you, even if it wasn't your family. Because that's the love of God that transcends all religions, all buildings, all churches. He's there in your heart, folks. That's the good news.